We are live. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Hogarth's Global Astrology. We are back. Here we are with our vigil in the, hopefully a bright flash in the night sky of very strange and unusual events happening here on planet Earth. So I will, of course, introduce my two guests tonight. So, of course, Linda G. What did I say? I said Linda
Excuse
G.
Ma,
Oh my God.
do I really look like Linda G?
Lady G. Listen, it's been a long night, folks. Because I come here every Saturday, and as you know, there's always something going on previously in the evening. So I've been in Box Hill and stuff like that. So forgive me, Lady G.
Thank you.
Lady G. And of course we have Dr. Lena Rodriguez with us tonight. Well, your Sunday morning, so we're always
morning. Yeah. And I want to pay tribute to you, Hogarth, because this is commitment to give up your late Saturday nights each week. So thank you.
Thank you. Sometimes it gets a little bit dicey, because I was in Surrey in Box Hill with friends and stuff like that. We're having a great time, fish and chips and the walk, and it was like, guys, I need to kind of get back. So it does get a little bit, a little bit sweaty boob time sometimes when I'm trying to make it back on the train. So today's show is going to be a little bit more international, guys. This show today, of course, there will be the USA questions, and we'll take some specific questions on that. But as we know, there is a tremendous amount going on. So before I start, and I've forgotten to say it for the last couple of weeks, so I want to just put out my commiserations, of course, to Marie's Table, who sadly lost her husband a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, and I actually wrote on her community channel, giving my condolence, but I kept forgetting to say it on the show. So yeah. So condolences to her. And I also want to actually unusually give a little shout out to my sister, Minerva, who now my sister, Minnie, we call her Minnie. She's my elder sister. And she's chipped her ankle today. She shared this horrific picture of her ankle, which looked like a golf club covered in skin, because obviously so she's going to be off work for a month. So Minnie, get well soon.
Yes. And ankles and elbows are really...
Oh God! I remember when I twisted my ankle, it took a while to sort itself out. So there's that. Also as well, I just want to, at the top of the show, before we dive in, I also want to give us all a little bit of a reminder of the astrological weather. Now, as you know, I've just been banging on about this for ages, but this is really important. Now, in a way, what I feel is happening archetypally here on Earth is equivalent to Lord of the Rings. Yeah. Okay. Now, those of you who may have Amazon Prime or anything like that, there's a new Lord of the Rings series out, which is what I'm watching. And as I'm watching this fantastical series unfold in front of my eyes, it's disturbingly similar to real life on Earth right now.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. So my question is really, in a way, with what is coming. And that's what we'll have to do a question on as well. We know the midterms are coming up. Yeah. November 8th. And there's going to be a full lunar eclipse on November 8th. But let's not forget the solar eclipse that is happening on October the 25th. October 25th.
And that's a partial eclipse?
It's going to be a partial eclipse, but it's an eclipse of the sun, which means leaders. Yeah. And this eclipse is probably going to be happening in a certain Putin's first house. Body. Yeah. And I've said before, I said, as autumn progresses and into the fall, especially November, could be very, very difficult for him. Now, ladies, what are your thoughts in terms of what you've seen of the footage from Russia? People trying to flee, people leaving the country, conscripted. What are your thoughts on that, ladies? Lady G, what have you seen much of the footage recently with Russia? As I do some
I have, I did a quick pull on it. And, they're just not having it. They want the peace. They want the love. They want to change the things. They are so tired of the Putinesque lies and the drama and the deaths that are happening. Mm-hmm. And so, they're fleeing. They're just like, no,
It's incredible. And I think we've got to remember too, of course, it's hideous for Ukrainians, watching their country be invaded by this maniac. But with Russians, they've had the impact of the sanctions for 5 months now. There's been nothing on the shelves. Their jobs have collapsed. We tend to forget that side of it too. And so this is feeding into it. But I think it's an intergenerational thing. Certainly under 40s want out, 50s are borderline, 60s and up tend to just follow state TV. So there is an intergeneration, that very crudely, I'm putting it here. But those scenes of the mothers kissing their 18-year-olds goodbye, in any war, in any context, It's
astonishing, isn't it?
But I think it's the economy that's going to bring him undone in the end.
Yeah, I heard he actually conscripted older people like 65 and disabled, just missing limbs, and he's sending them off. I was like, oh my God, it's crazy.
It's just astonishing, isn't it? It's just, talk about like desperate acts and stuff like that. I don't think it will work in the sense of, because they're going to need training up for at least 3 months, and Ukraine may have potential won by then, but you never know. It means his hand is going to hover ever closer, to big red buttons. Big red buttons is going to be like, ooh. I'm hoping, if he does press a button, that nothing happens, and maybe just a little kind of whoopee cushion sound kind of goes off, but we never know. He is very, very desperate. And the question, in a way, I want to kind of almost frame this tonight's show about is, in terms of what is going on in the world, particularly with America, because of course we've got the Supreme Court that will reconvene soon in October, around October 5th, something like that. And one of the things they're going to be potentially voting on is where the state legislature, I can never say the word properly, could basically overturn the popular vote. And I think we should pull some cards on it, maybe at the end of the show.
The case itself is Moore versus Harper, which sounds like nothing much. Why would you be interested in Moore versus? It's actually the most significant ruling.
It is absolutely epic. And we need to remember as well, when it comes to eclipses, it's not just a day, a week or so either side. So this falls into the realms of the eclipse. So part of me, I'm starting to ask myself, like, in this huge battle, who's going to win? Is it going to be the elves or the orcs?
Okay.
So I think we'll leave that question for the end, and let's start with Let's start with Trump. Yeah, let's start with Duck Ranch, and we'll do some international, and then we'll come back to the USA. So here, Patricia Franzino has asked, will it be proven and revealed worldwide with ironclad evidence that Trump was illegitimately elected?
Right. And I have to put in here, Linda G said way back in 2017 or something, Trump will be declared an illegitimate president. And it seemed such an out there prediction at the time. Not so out there now. It's not beyond the realms.
Yeah, not beyond the realms. And it's clear, I mean, as we shuffle, I think what's become clear is, as we know, a lot of oligarchs have been falling out of windows recently. Yeah.
Yeah, and they've been falling off boats. They've been doing all sorts of things.
Falling out of windows to their death, falling off boats, turning up dead, having killed their wife and their kids, and then shot themselves. Quite a lot of this, and I think we're up to around about at least 10, but it could be as much as 15 now. And these are the ones that reach the news. So what I think is Duc Larange has probably informed on the informers, and Putinska has just gone round and got the squads out for them. It's too much of a coincidence. As far as I think it's too much of a coincidence. Yeah.
Well, Edna in the comments says Trump was at a rally last night asking people to support Putin.
Did he actually go on the record and say it?
Well, Edna, can you get back to us, please? He actually said that as such.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. It's extraordinary. I mean, do you remember when I joked a few weeks ago about, the classified papers, and I made this joke saying that Trump would be bibbidi bobbidi boo, I declare these declassified.
Yeah. There we go. Yes.
Literally gone on TV and said, I did it with my mind.
Fairy dust.
Astonishing. But if that statement could be confirmed, because as we know, sometimes we can get excited in the chat and not necessarily turn out to be the case. But wow, if he's said that, then he's basically openly declaring really where his allegiance was all along, which we know. So who would like to go first on the question on whether Trump will be declared an illegitimate president?
Illegitimate president. Let's have a look.
Seems more and more plausible, really, doesn't it, with time? Let's see here.
Let's see.
Well.
Oh, are you ready?
Sure, I'll go. In the center of it, we have One World Tarot by Lena Rodriguez. We have the Magician. And we have the obstruction that happened. We had those with the money above it, the payoff, the buying and selling of the White House to a victory. And we have, the buying and selling to a victory. We have the Repugly Uglies, the con men, the lies, cheats behind it. The juggling of this is coming out, the time of it, the strife, the fighting, the key to it, and last but not least, the Queen of Wands, that energy going out, the light about what happened. Yeah.
Wow.
So it looks to be, yes, that it will come out, that he,
Yeah. That is illegitimate. What do you have, Lena?
Okay.
Some comments.
I think here we have. Sorry, let me guess here. The Hermit, the secrecy around everything, followed by the King of Pentacles. Right, the money. Now, I have then the Four of Swords. So with this, we forget with the Four of Swords, the stained glass windows representing a puzzle to be resolved. Someone's thinking about how to resolve the puzzle is another interpretation of the Four of Swords. And I think it's the interpretation here. Interesting.
Snap.
And I think talking about here the Ace of Wands, when I put the Ace of Wands down on the table, I immediately got Milou.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I haven't thought about Robert Milou in quite some time.
Yes.
Because so much goes on. I think all of that investigation, where's my Hermit? All of that investigation that went on under Milou is the stuff that provides the connections and the proof of this, of the accepting of the money and the deal he did with Putinska. And it will end up in him being out in the cold, the illegitimate president cold.
Hence why Barr put the
and Bar squashed it.
Mm-hmm.
And Dar has a lot to answer for in this life and next, if you ask me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What about you, Hogarth?
It's so interesting. I'm going to pull a couple of clarifiers actually. All right, here we go. Very interesting. And again, of course, I'm using Lena's cards tonight for a little bit of clarification here. So
goody.
Very, very, very nice. So I've gone to my black and white deck because I know I like to use these cards for these dodgy characters. So is he legitimate? Yeah, of course. Will it be proved that he's illegitimate? And the first card I get, looky here, I get the Knight of Cups. Now we all know that this can be a card of romance and promises and coming forward with this stuff. But this is almost like Duck L'Orange, Trump coming. For me, you know what I see when I see this card? I see him coming down the escalator. Yeah.
That moment.
This is him full of kind of false promise, because we know we're dealing with, shady people here. So I think this is the false promise that he's brought. This is the man in the shadow it seems like it's one thing, and then before you know it, it's really not turned out so good after all. Second card that I get here, this in many ways I think is talking about the entanglements. Yeah.
Yes.
We've got the Nine of Wands, the battles. This has been, if we were to imagine that he's being supported by, shall we say, foreign forces, that may or may not have Russian accents. Let's just put it that way. It's not been an easy thing because this could be a card of battles, isn't it? You're battle weary, all of this effort. In some ways, I feel like this has been the battle on the part of Putin, who has been proven to actually been interfering in lots of other elections.
Oh, yes.
The Basque the Basque separatist movement was being supported in Spain. Brexit is another one. Stuff is starting to come out about
Puerto Rico, it turns out now.
Puerto Rico, So in a way, this is also as well Putin's efforts, this embattlement he's taken to undermine, all these democracies with these false promises and the advertising. But taking this energy back to Trump, look, I get the Four of Swords as well. And we know this is being wounded in battle. So it's almost like here is the battle.
Yes.
We have the false promise.
Yes.
We have the battle itself, where Trump is just barely surviving now. And here is like, wounded in retreat. Four of Swords. And what's it all about? Could this be that now? I know, Lena, when you pull this card, when you get the Ten of Cups, this can be like the GOP, the false hope, and the projected BS, basically. But considering after someone's defeated in battle, could this be a genuine celebration here of a nation or peoples around the world, particularly as the Knight of Wands comes out next? So it's almost like once the shackles are off, I feel like everything is going to come out, and we are going to be shocked, particularly as well when I pull a clarifier card here. Look at the clarifier that I get. It's the Tower, and the other card that came out was the Seven of Pentacles, which is reassessing things, looking at the fruit of things. That's how I interpret this card. Seeds that were sown, what was the yield? So for me, this is almost like shocking results, that come as a result of seeds that were planted, probably by who is, Putinshka is on the rocks. He's in a very, very difficult
And as I've been saying since day one, we all go, Putin would be out. Who is going to replace Putin is the problem. Because Navalny only appeals to the young people, and, it could be another military exercise or something.
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe not a Gorbachev. Anything else to add to that before we move on?
No. Brandy says, can anyone see what's happening with China Twitter has been ablaze saying there's a coup and the president is under house arrest. I'm sorry, I haven't heard that. And in Australia, we're very tight with watching what's happening in China. So I think it's just a Twitter thing that's taken off.
Could be. But just to add with that, now because obviously, look, this is a channel here, it's live TV. We can't confirm these stories as they come in on the live feed. But what I can say is this: in November, I can't remember if it's early or mid-November, Mars, planet of war, is going to be spending about 8 months in total from August to March in sidereal Taurus, where it is now. Food, distributions, money, values. It's all security. But it's going to go into Gemini, sidereal Gemini, briefly for about 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. It will stop at 1 degree of sidereal Gemini. That is very potent for the USA chart, but guess what? That is right on top of Xi Jinping's sun. The sun means what? Leadership and kingdom. And I've said it before, but I think there could be a real domestic situation at home, which is basically unfolding, bubbling under the surface, that could maybe shake Xi Jinping's kingdom in some way. And it also deals with the health as well, the sun. And this is why it's also tricky as well for Putin when there is the solar eclipse on the 25th of October. So Xi and Putin are tricky. We can't verify what's been said because that is quite an extraordinary thing. But let's see.
I think all our news, our real news outlets would be ablaze if that was the case.
Yeah, I think you've got a point. Okay, so let's move on to, I don't know, do you fancy pulling on it? Shall we?
Not really at this stage. I'd rather wait and see.
Too speculative. We can't be sure. Let's see. Let's move to Sweden. Let's move to Sweden. I think, Lena, you may have read this as well. And I'm not sure as well, Lady G, if you read on this. But for those that don't know, Sweden's just had one of its general elections. And you got the sort of more liberal side, which is still the majority of the government, around about 30%. But there's a new coalition of sort of center-right and far-right, isn't it, Lena?
Yeah.
So what I want to do is this has worried a lot of people. So in some ways, you've been asked the question already on your channel. So I want to kind of nuance it a little bit and ask, how will this new development in the government change Sweden's relationship with the world?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah. How will this move to the right affect Sweden's relationship with the world? I'm going to use Lena's cards. I'm going to use the One World Tarot on this one.
Will I go?
Go for it.
Okay. So I've got lots of action in this. The Knight of Wands. So I think in this context, it's right beside the Five of Swords. So their actions are going to sow the seeds of discord within Sweden and beyond. So they rule by coalitions, like you were saying, so they won't have complete power or anything. But once you get the middle align with the right, you've got a problem, because this is exactly what happened in Israel, was when the center-right affiliated with the, I wouldn't call it the far right per se in Israel, but the net result is the same with the ultra-Orthodox. That's when all the settlements started happening and new waves of conflict, because this is what's turning up for Sweden, more internal conflict. The death card, in a way, I think it's the end of the post-war Sweden, which went the way of democratic socialism, which is a system where you tax people high, but you get very good schools, very good roads, very good healthcare, very good things done with that tax. But it's the end of that system I see, unfortunately, here. Mm-hmm. King of Pentacles and the Emperor. So in terms of how it will impact on the rest of the world, I think it won't be sudden and it won't be total. People will still respect Sweden enormously. But there is this masculine energy around this takeover. You know, it's very macho energy here with these two.
Any more cards, Lena, to add to that? Because we've just had an update in the chat that I wanted to share. I just wanted to check.
Go for it.
Well, we've got here, so I clicked up on it before, and let's see, this of course needs to be verified, but Maxine has just shared with us, breaking news, North Korea just fired a ballistic missile. So what, is it a test? We don't know. Is it another one of their tests, or has it actually hit something? So we'll have to...
Yes, we don't know. It's always called a test, of course. You know.
So, you know, maybe we can pull some cards on that on the end of the show, if that is a valid thing. So lots going on in the world. Like I said, who's going to win, the Elves or the Orks? But Lady G, what do you have for us in regards to Sweden's move to the right and their relationship?
Well, I see that this is going to cause a lot of problems for people. They're going to be very worried about it. It's going to have some difficulties going in. We have working with others, the strength, defending some of the new actions that are going to come out of it. And we have King of Swords taking kind of a hard stance when it comes to contractually with other people. Light is going to be shed. Again, judgment, and we're back to this again, the nightmare scenario. And then I just dropped one, but the one I dropped was the retreat. So I think some of the world is going to retreat the more that Sweden gets that, you know, kind of hardline stances.
And of course, it's based in all the anti-immigrant stuff again, demonizing the other.
Yeah, very interesting. I just want to say as well that we have got 1,172 people with us right now. So I just want to say thank you guys for joining us. I know it's great.
1,172 thank yous.
Yeah. It's amazing, and we really appreciate you guys supporting the show. What was the card? What was the card that fell?
It was the retreat, you know.
It's the card du jour we're getting.
Yeah.
So we have to really look at that card. You know how you get so used to your cards, and sometimes things make you go, now what else about that card?
Because it means we've all pulled it now already. Yeah. We've all pulled that card. So maybe is this... Oh, and the dog agrees. So if we've all pulled the same card, and the Four of Swords is about retreat, isn't it? It's about retreat or a loss of battle. What could that potentially be saying? Is it trying to say, could this be where maybe Putin has to retreat due to a loss in battle, or is this or is there something else? Is there someone that is going to be wounded in some way? Are we going to see an ending in some way? What I should quickly add, and I've said before, with these big, because we lost Gorbachev, haven't we? We lost Gorbachev and we've lost the Queen. And I say these things tend to come in threes. Yeah. I was reminded by someone called Carolyn Marquez, and she made a very good point. She said, but you forgot Shinzo Abe. Yeah, because remember, sadly, he was...
Yeah.
But for me, as tragic as it was, I'm not sure if that is the third one.
Yes, I get where you're coming from.
You see, energetically, I'm like, so I think there might be one more before the year is out.
Mm-hmm.
Not that we're wishing stuff on anyone, but, you know, maybe a certain person who lives in the Kremlin, you know, that would certainly do the world a lot of favors, wouldn't it? But, you know, let's leave it there. Otherwise, that just gets a bit too, you know, a bit too much. Now, look, my cards for Sweden, my cards are quite interesting. It's mixed and they're actually quite jolly.
Oh, I'm pleased.
Oh, good.
Go Sweden.
But is it jolly?
Yeah, right.
Really, is it jolly? Because first of all, first card, look, Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, so they're changing their fate and destiny with this one. Yeah, they're going further right, which for many people would be a bit of a spin ball in regards to Sweden. Yeah, ever liberal, ever neutral, etc., etc. They go to the right. Ooh, yeah. But of course, there have been things with immigration, etc., and other simmering things. So it looks like their fates are changing. In the obstacle position, look, I've got the King of Cups. And the King of Cups is normally what? An emotionally in tune man, creative, empathetic, etc., and stuff like that. And it's coming in the obstacle position. So, but the obstacle for who? Yeah, because we know that when this card is up the right way, it's actually quite a nice card. So I have to look to the next card that's come. And look, I get the Ace of Pentacles. Now, I think you said, Lena, isn't it often the case that when countries move to the right, it's often more about the money? Yeah, they'll say immigration, but it's often about changing, giving less to social programs and stuff like that. So it's almost like, does the right, who are now got influence, see this more touchy-feely, intuitive and empathic Sweden that we're more familiar with as a problem? It's come in the obstacle position, yeah? The fates have changed and it's come in the obstacle position. So I think I'm picking up on the far right here.
Yes, yes.
And I think what is, they want to do things because they've been supported. Look, look. Everyone's singing off the same hymn sheet with the far right, and there's obviously something more going on. You can't have all these movements coordinating themselves in countries all saying the same thing. I think there's some money behind this. Then I get the Queen of Swords. And of course, this can be about rational judgment, you know, good judgment, being fair, etc., and stuff like that. But in this context, we're talking about the far right. And what is it they always come and try and do? They do what? They change the laws. I think we might see some laws changing in Sweden, yeah? Maybe to benefit, like they're doing in the here, this budget that's just been passed. Everyone's bloody going to food banks and goodness knows what, can barely pay their electricity bills. But bankers have had the limits removed from their businesses.
Yes, it's always the same pattern, isn't it?
It's always the same. And I think if the right succeeds in this, I think they're going to be celebrating. I think this is what the intended party is about. Changing, getting rid of this intuitive, sensitive, kind of divine masculine in a way. But
passionate.
Passionate, empathic Sweden, which is what we're familiar with, in order that they can facilitate the money by changing the laws, rules, regulations, Queen of Swords, and then all of their friends can party, just like they're trying to do in the UK with Shanghai on Thames. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Anything to add to that, ladies, before we move on?
No.
All right. We are now at 1265.
While we're on the far right, should we ask now about QAnon and stuff?
Yes.
While we're in that theme, then we can leave them.
Absolutely. Do the both of you have any stories to share on the QAnon? I've not followed it so much. What insights do you both have?
Lady G?
Yeah, well, today I saw that the dog, was preaching in church really down QAnon way that Biden may wind up committing suicide.
And Also, the 24th, like today, except for me, I've got through the 24th. I'm on the 25th. They've predicted that there'll be this huge shift and change of things, probably a bit like the Biden suicide story. So apparently the 24th is in QAnon land, promotes Trump, who they think is still the president, and so on. So let's just have a look at QAnon generally.
Yeah, let's look at the QAnon energy, because it's never. I knew that 2022 would be batshit. Yeah, I knew it would be a batshit year. Let's just call it what it is, because that's exactly what it is. This is baked on batshit from all corners.
Yeah,
with a little bat still wriggling, kind of with its.
There's more bats to come.
And I said in my 2022 predictions, we're going to see things that we've never seen before. And even by Trump standards, to say I declassify with the power of my mind, by the power of telepathy, I stood, because it's extraordinary. He's got reptilian cunning, but at the same time, he's saying, yes, I took those boxes and I waved my hand. And they're declassified. And then the legal side is saying it doesn't even matter if they're declassified or not. Why do you have them?
Have them. I know. And in the same interview, he also blew it by saying they were all declassified because we were moving them to Mar-a-Lago. People forget the second part of the sentence.
I know, and I heard that, and I was like, you know what I really think has happened here is that I think all of those years and years of eating McDonald's too much. Now, look, Mickey D's is good for, a little treat, but you don't eat every day like duck l'orange.
It's not food, let's face it.
It's not food. And I think it has calcified that brain of his, because now what he's saying is really wobbly stuff. And I don't know, it's just extraordinary. So what's going on with QAnon? What's going on with them? Because Donald has gone full Q now. Gone full Q. Do you know what? They're going to name a burger after him. You know what? I think there's going to be, there's going to be a burger named after him. And I think we're going to have Duck l'Orange or Donald Trump, the opera. Because this is operatic now, isn't it? It's just
yes.
beyond parody. I remember seeing the opera of Anna Nicole Smith, and that was fantastic. It was really good. This is a Jerry Springer opera. This is Broadway. This is I don't know.
Totally.
All right. Who would like to go first?
I'll go. First up, we have the lovers. This is the love affair of people for QAnon. Human beings are essentially tribal by nature, and we might hate it, etc., and roll our eyes at how stupid it is. But it's provided a home for these people. This is the love people have of the QAnon phenomenon. They then get the hangman. So, the hangman, new perspective. It's like their minds have literally been taken over. That's their new perspective, is QAnon. And of course, they're convinced they're right, and we just don't have the real information, or we would understand. Right? They're in for some surprise news. It could be that today Trump isn't declared president again. That might happen. And emotional. It's all emotion. There's not a cerebral thing going on. It's all emotion, and too much emotion. They're ruled by their emotions and the love of this man in form of Yeti and also QAnon. It speaks to them.
Yes, the orange Jesus is what they're called.
No.
The orange Jesus. I mean, Do you know what? One of these things, I thought to myself, I've been reflecting on this, sorry to segue, but I still believe Trump would rather die than go to jail.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the idea for me seeing Duck LaRange in the orange jumpsuit would be almost too funny, because of course he would blend in with his own suit.
Yes, exactly.
People will try to figure out where it begins.
Yes.
You look like an Oompa Loompa.
Now, Sunny Intuition says, and I agree with this, is he saying crazy things intentionally so he can use dementia as a defense later? And yeah, anyway, sorry, Hogarth, go on. We may get time to return to that.
Of course. And one thing you've just reminded me, in Jamaica, and maybe throughout the Caribbean, but definitely in Jamaica, just in terms of what you said, there's a saying which we have, which is called "play fool for catch wise."
Yeah.
Right. He is extremely cunning. He may now just be in front of George Hannity, be going, look, I'm laying my crazy cards here.
Yeah.
I'm laying my crazy cards here. I don't put anything past him. But Lady G, what are your cards do you have for the whole QAnon phenomenon?
Well, we have the Chariot, but it's not moving too quickly. See, now I love the colors on this; those are fabulous. But it's not moving too quickly. We have the followers, the lovers of QAnon. Above it, we have the burden of the devil. The burden.
Snap.
They have justice, wanting justice for 45. Yes, justice for 45 is coming. And they're celebrating because today is the day, that they are moving forward, calmer waters for the great poobah.
Yeah, that's
But unfortunately, above it, hung up, they're going to have to see it from a different view because
let me get it.
It's not going to come facing.
Let me get it.
Yes.
I think Lady G did a good version.
Yeah, just adding that. Wow. Honestly, these people. So was that everything, Lady G? I just wanted to check to make sure.
That was the whole thing, the whole shebang.
Very bombastic cards here. Very bombastic cards that I've got. As we're now 1440. Wow, fabulous, guys, amazing. All right, here we are. Now you know what I call this card. We got here what the Page of Cups, which I call what? Stinky fish. Yeah.
Yes.
So for me, this sums up the whole shebang. Yeah, this sums everything up. Going back to Sweden again, but on a tangent, there is a type of food that they like. I can't remember what it's called. Yeah, I can't remember what it's called, but it's a type of herring. Yeah, pickled herring.
Yes.
And what they do is they bury it underground, I don't know, for about 3 or 4 years or something like that. And then they dig it out, and it is this fetid, disgusting. Now look, I feel I've got license to say this because one of my best friends is Swedish. He's called Gustav, and he's told me about this dish. And he says some people like it, but it's an extremely acquired taste.
Yes.
When the lid comes off of this fetid fish that has been buried underground for like 2 to 3 years, he says some people have to run to the toilet because they literally. Yeah. And for me, this is what this whole QAnon is about. Because it's not just stinky fish. This is rotten, fetid, weird, cray stuff. I'm not saying absolutely every single conspiracy theory out there is wrong, but we've heard a lot of cray, haven't we? A lot. Next card. 5, what's that? 5 of Swords, yeah? An abuse of power, but look, it's about battles. Look, it's all about battles, violence. We can call this the January 6th, yeah? But also as well, this card can also ask, was it worth it? This can be quite a seductive message. The Page of Cups. Again, he's like the Knight of Cups. it's messages, but there is that element there of maybe, is it deception? Is it real? Because it's a fish coming out of a cup. Yeah. So maybe it's deceptive. And then we see, right, these people have gone in on this fetid, deceptive message. Yeah. Tried to burn the capital down. You can see the thingy bobs there. And they're wondering, is it worth it? Because now look, they realized, oh, they're chained to the devil. Yeah. We all know who this is. This is Dr. Ron. And everyone else, all the mishegas that we just see going on right now. This is also the Supreme Court. All the douchebaggery that we're seeing in the world. This is literally the Orks. Yeah. This is almost like the Orks being sent to the capital. Yeah. By Sauron. Well, really, well, I think that's more like Putin is Sauron. But, you know, Trump is one of his major Orks. And if we look here, but look, the sun comes out to burn away. Yeah, the sun comes out with its light and its truth. And I think it's just all being exposed now, isn't it? We're all starting to see, I think the Kool-Aid for a lot of people is wearing off in QAnon. However, when one theory dies, another one emerges. Look, it's the high priestess.
Yes.
So what I think it is, the light has come for a lot of people, but not enough for people to
yes.
I think they're always going to be there. I think Trumpism, like I was with my analogy of the Lost Boys, Trump, unfortunately, is not the head vampire. When he's eventually gone, there is still going to be the QAnon. What we still have to deal with the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court.
Well, it's Trumpism. Yeah. That's been my point. It's beyond him now. This whole idea, I just won't turn up to a subpoena. All of this stuff is Trumpism.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of comments on the pickled herring, by the way.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. What people have they said that?
Well, all our Swedish viewers are commenting here. And no, it's all right. Often Swedish grandparents and stuff. It's called surströmming.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one. I couldn't remember what it's called.
When canned, it's not allowed on aeroplanes in case it explodes.
Like durian fruit. Durian fruit's another one, or Limburger cheese. Why do they have these things?
Yeah. Some people are just stimulated by stench. I mean, there you go. But, you know, an acquired taste and, of course, a cultural thing. So I just want the Swedes to know I'm not mocking your culture or whatever. Swedish food is lovely. Love it. But this thing is very much an acquired.
Yeah,
it really, really is. Anything else to add, ladies, before we move on to the next thing? Yeah, all good?
All good.
Brilliant. So I think we need to talk about Iran. Yeah. I think we need to talk about Iran. Now, for those that may or may not know, there is what are they called? They're called the modesty police or the whatever.
A version of it.
Yeah. And sadly, tragically, a young woman has died in custody because she wasn't wearing her hijab. And it turns out she's been beaten to death by the police. That's the long and short of it. And this has sparked huge riots in Iran. Not only just women, men as well. Yeah, they've come out, and we just hit 1,500, by the way. And I just wanted to ask, before we dovetail back around and talk a bit about Putin, what does this mean for Iran? And is this a positive? Can this death, this tragic death, become something positive where the people liberate themselves? That's what I want to ask. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and I'd just like to point out, because I'm old enough to remember Iran before the 1979 revolution.
Oh.
And women, particularly in the main cities, had a lot of freedom in terms of employment as doctors and lawyers and teachers and going to work. But many in the cities, I stress, didn't wear the hijab, certainly not the burqa by and large. And I remember images from sporting stadiums and things. Women would go to a soccer match in Tehran. They'd be in miniskirts. They'd be in boob tubes. They were, and then boom, it all came down in 1979. So they've known freedom and have experienced losing it. So I just wanted to put that in context.
Yeah.
Yes, Iran was very modern and beautiful then. It looked like LA. Thank you, Janelle. Yeah, it was very different.
Wow. Lady G, were you going to just say something?
Yeah, somebody was saying she was wearing hijab, but it wasn't tight enough.
That's right. She had a little bit of hair showing.
It was showing.
Yes. Yes, that's correct. Yes.
That's even worse.
Yeah.
As if it was terrible enough. So she actually was wearing it. What? Because what?
Yes,
the wind blew and a bit of hair came out?
Tendrils came out.
You know, this stuff, like as we see. Yeah, go on.
Well, Melissa was saying it was the same in Iraq before we, the West, invaded. And that's true. Iraq was very secular. Women had a much better run in Iraq prior to the Western intervention.
Wow. Wow. I just find that extraordinary. It's like, but you know what, guys? As I said, it's Pluto is in sidereal Capricorn, yeah? Governments, rules, regulations, it's everything to do with authorities, authoritarianism, you know, the darker side of life, you know, fascism and blah, blah, blah. Yes, it's all coming up and it is unpleasant and a lot of it is frightening, but it's so that we can also see this as well. We've got this Uranus square, Uranus planet of liberation, and it's with the nodes, Rahu, making it more extreme, with Saturn, yeah, which is restrictions, rules, regulations, and it peaks on October 30th. So do you see everything's rising up to try and expunge and fight back? So let's see if this will be positive for Iran going forward. Who's ready to go as I look through more of the comments?
How are you going, Lady G?
Well, so. But here, I'll try to go ahead and go. We have this offer being presented, the Knight of Cups coming through with, we have the obstructions underneath of it, this abuse of power of tying up people because of the craziness. But going into it, we have new actions of a higher thing. And I think this is higher instead of the narcissist. I think this is higher aspirations. And then we have the women. The women are wanting to take back power. The contract of, you know, struggling with the truth. And again, offering from the past. They want to go back to where they had the freedom. So it looks like there will be more rising up with this and protesting by people to come back to some type of civility.
Wow. Wow.
Well, I got a parallel set of cards here, Lady G. So I got the Magician. So in a way, it had to happen. I mean, certain lives get sacrificed, you know, in these situations, but I don't think her death is in vain. I think it's a catalyst with the Magician. Iran now enters a crossroads time as opposed to just putting it all back in the box. No. Queen of Pentacles, so woman's power. They're getting together. This is the Three of Pentacles here of how to move forward from here. Very brave individuals. And of course, they need their men to support them too. Because if you're a young modern man, you don't want your sister or your wife or your niece or your cousin to be subjected to this. So men are important here too. But they'll be talking about, in secret for obvious reasons, they'll be talking about strategies and where to go from here and how to pull out this feminine energy in a way. But I think they're going to be successful.
Look, it's come up again.
Yeah.
That card. I think, is that the third or fourth time?
Yes.
Very Interesting. Very interesting. Anything else to add to that, Lena, before I read?
No, you do yours.
All right. Again, very dramatic. So look at this. Look at this. Let me just get the button ready here. Yeah, the devil. Yeah, who's come out for the second time tonight. Look, isn't this remarkable, folks? Here we are in not even 3 different time zones, 3 different huge countries of the world, and it's almost as if we're just pulling from the same set 10 of cards. Because I've got the devil come back, we've had the 3 of cups come back, we've had the, what is it, the 4 of swords, all of this stuff, and it's repeating. Oh, I froze a little bit there. I froze a little bit. So here we are. This says a lot, doesn't it, about the situation in Iran right now and the authorities that are in control. And not just that, it shows that there's a darkness there. There is a deep-seated, something is deeply wrong in Iran. Because what you said to me was, it shocked me even more, because she was wearing hijab, and basically the wind blew the wrong way, a strip of hair came out, and she was beaten to death for it. So that can only happen in a country that is very, very toxic. And here it is. It's almost like, look, we need, again, for entertainment purposes only. So I'm not going to say too much naughty things, because I do have some friends that are Iranian. But let's just say this is not a great card. Yeah, I think this is describing a lot of things. But look what I get in the opposition place. Look, I get the Fool. Very interesting, because something new wants to come out and overthrow this. And of course, this is what the youth, the people that want to throw off this yoke of the you-know-who. I won't say their name, but it begins with I, yeah? And it sounds like roller. Anyway, so here, so I think this is the youth. So obviously the devil is seeing this as what? A problem, yeah? But this has galvanized the youth, because they're like, well, if a woman was wearing hijab and the wind blew and she got beaten to death, what kind of country are we living in, you know, when stuff like that happens? Now, also as well, I think one of the contributing factors here as well is the Iranian economy, yeah? Because we know money's been what? An issue. Yeah, money's been an issue. So this is also saying, I think it's not that they're just rebelling for this woman who tragically has died, yeah? But there's more to it. These young people want to have a future. They want to have jobs. They're sick and tired of all this manipulation and oppression. And they're sick of it. Yeah, they want to breathe. They want to feel young. They want to feel like they have a future, isn't it? The Fool deals with the future. They want money and prosperity. They want a future. You can't have a future in a country where if the wind blows the wrong way, you get beaten to death. Yeah. So if we look here, I think the youth, this is the youth.
Oh, yes.
Rising up, Page of Swords, this is them. They really, really want to bust out. But look at my outcome card. It's quite interesting. Get the 7 of Cups. Now, I'm not saying that they are deluded. They are not deluded. But it shows that there's a lot of choices to be made ahead of them. And not all of them may be wise choices, because with youth and optimism, they know that they want something different. They know that they want to leap, but in which direction do they want to jump? Because in many ways, well, I mean, until Russia came along, who was the bad kid on the block? It was Iran. They were the pariah, and like Russia's basically, you know, put them well into 3rd place, you know, by now. So it's kind of like the youth are rising up, but they're not sure about the options and the choices. They may be doubting themselves even. Is this just a fantasy that we can actually overturn this? Yeah, because it's been around for so long. But I think they're going to try, and I want to see this maybe in a positive stance where they will basically, I don't think they're going to be able to put the genie back in the bottle on this one.
No. And also we've got to remember that Iran is actually Persia.
Persia.
And is the cradle of civilization in so many ways in that part of the Middle East and stuff. And so maybe some of that confusion is wanting to be part of global youth culture and things, but not to lose their Persian identity either, throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
That would make sense. That would make sense, because you see, there's a hesitancy here.
Yeah.
We know they want to be free and they're prepared to fight for their freedom, which is very brave of them. But there is a hesitancy of how to interact with that outside world. So thanks to that, Lena. I think that's spot on. They want that prosperity. They want those opportunities. But there's also an apprehension, I sense, a bit of a fear as well, because they don't just want to throw themselves open to the West and just become like
downtown LA. No.
Right. Yeah, like everyone else.
Hi, Celtic Sheila. I didn't realize you were on board. Hi, Sheila.
Oh, fabulous. Nice to see you. I think she's wanted to get in touch with me, actually.
Welcome.
Celtic Sheila. So thank you for leaving a message here. And sorry if I've not gone back. It's been busy. It's been busy. So look, the hour has come already. Shall we do a 1-card pull each on Putin?
Okay.
Just to see what may lie in his future. How about that? Because I can't believe the hour has raced.
No, it's flown.
Right, I need to pick my.
That was so quick this time.
I don't think it was a real hour.
Oh, that's it. We can put that forward as a QAnon. Time is not real.
I think QAnon took our time.
I mean, it's extraordinary that an hour's gone so quick. So 1 card each, and between the 3 of us, we will attempt to see what lays in store for Putanesca. What lays in store?
Oh.
Do you want to go first? What do you have?
Yes, please. 5 of Cups. Loss, regret, despair.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't got a way out from here.
Either way, it's not good. Lady G, what do you have?
Well, I got that he's blocked. He's not seeing a way forward. He's kind of out here on his own in the water, and there's nobody surrounding him. Nobody wants to be close to him. Yeah.
No friends, all by myself. Look what I get. 5 of Pentacles. Look at that. I love the 1-card pulls, because isn't it interesting? We are literally thousands of miles apart. Yeah. And all of our cards are pretty much saying the same thing. I think this is the end game for him. Yeah. He may want to stick around. And did you hear they tried to blow up his car? Did you hear about that one?
No.
Yeah. He managed to avoid it, of course, because he's psychic. I know people don't like me saying that. He's got Malavya yoga. This is why he's been able to survive for so long. When Venus is strong, it gives the gift of prophecy. But, whether you're good or evil, but let's just put it that way. But he managed to avoid yet another assassination attempt, which must be coming to 8 or 9 now, I would imagine, by this point. But he can't do it forever. He split the deck. Look at that. I just split the deck. 7 of Swords. Yeah, he's trying to get away with it. But this is also as well the enemies in the camp. He's not safe.
Yeah, no.
He is not safe. And at the base of the deck, I've got the Wheel of Fortune. Yeah. Not good.
At my base of the deck is leaving.
You see, the cards are just speaking in unison. So thank you, ladies. That was a great show. I can't believe how quick the hour goes. Thank you, everyone, as well, for donating and being with us here tonight. Over 1,500, actually, we've still got. So we really appreciate your love and support of the show. Lady G, great stuff, as always. Sorry for the wrong name coming out at the top of the show, but we all love Linda G anyway. So thank you for joining the show, and of course, Lena, Dr. Lena Rodriguez, thank you so much for joining us on your Sunday morning. Thank you.
I still get that on my channel. I still get that on my channel. People call me Linda G.
Oh, they would, of course. Sheila says this is Putin's Hail Mary. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's just, and the astrology as well for him as well is not looking great. So we have to see what happens with that. Brilliant stuff as well in the chat. I tried to click on as many as I could, and of course answer questions and stuff like that. But we will be back next week. I know an hour is never enough, but you know, we have lives here. It's 1 a.m. in the morning for me. You know, Lena needs to have a breakfast, and you know, of course, Lena wants to go and drive somewhere and feed the dogs. So we will be back.
My dinner.
Of course,
dinner and steady by time.
So we'll see everyone next week. Thank you again so much for the support.
Thanks for joining us.
All soon. All right. Bye-bye for now. Cheers.